picture of James Henry Breasted, who founded the Oriental Institute and supported the Iranian expedition of the Oriental Institute and the excavations at Persepolis and other sites. Here's a picture of actually the first lady who donated a great sum of money specifically for the excavations at Persepolis, and he wanted to remain, incognito, unknown. But he visited Persepolis once with her private plane, Mrs. Ada Moore, a wealthy benefactress, because the Oriental Institute, they didn't have money for to launch this Persian expedition, and Mrs. Moore advanced a huge sum of money for the first seasons of work under Herzfeld, let's say from 1931 to 1933. So here's a picture of Ada Moore, whom Robert Byron, a British writer and traveler, with his usual British sarcasm, described a matriarch in shawl, more than 7 years old and worth as many millions. Here's a view of the site of Persepolis. A lot of you have seen pictures of the site or have visited the site. There's a huge platform, actually the citadel of the site. Here's the remains of the city outside the platform. During the first seasons of excavations, 1931-32, Herzfeld excavated this magnificent eastern staircase of one of the palaces, actually the largest palace at the site, or the audience hall of the Achaemenid kings, with these sculptured panels. Here's a picture of Herzfeld with the first, let's say, Iranian official President of the Dig, Mohammad Taghi Mustafavi, who became the director of the Antiquities office in Iran later. The American team made some fabulous discoveries. They actually excavated one of the small palaces and then decided to reconstruct the whole palace here. And this, this building now serves the museum at the site and offices in the back. Another great discovery of the Oriental Institute excavations is this. Thousands of clay tablets in cuneiform found at a spot in the northwest of the site, known as the Persepolis fortification tablets. Almost all of them are in Elamite. Another magnificent discovery is this discovery of a pair of gold and silver, 2 pairs of gold and silver plaques or tablets deposited in the Apadana under the order of Darius the Great. Here you see Herzfeld's architect Friedrich Krefter, who is excavating this hole, and here's the tablet with a picture of these magnificent tablets in gold and silver, or the foundation tablets of Apadana. According to the Antiquities law, the fines would be divided between the excavator and the government, and the Oriental Institute got some nice objects like this one. You see here Matt Stolper staring at this big bull from Persepolis. And the excavations was greeted by the king, actually, Reza Shah, who visited I think 2 or 3 times the site. And the last time he visited the site, actually no, the second time he visited the site, he thanked Ernst Hausfeld here, and I have his words. You are doing a great work for our civilization, and I thank you, Mr. Herzfeld. Herzfeld had to resign because of his problems with the government later. Actually, he donated a few objects to the Crown Prince of Sweden in front of Iranian officials, and for this he had to resign and leave Iran. And he was replaced by another German archaeologist, Erich Schmidt, totally different, coming from a different background, but again, German, another German, in 1935. Schmidt's first excavation in Iran was in 1931. He excavated at the ruins of the medieval and prehistoric site of Ray in southern Tehran, and then he moved to another important prehistoric site, Tepe-Hisar, in northeastern Iran. And while excavating at Tepe-Hisar, he had a visit of a lady, an American lady, another rich American lady named Thompson, and her daughter. And the daughter, Mary Helen, fell in love with Schmidt, and they got married. And since she was very rich, she bought an airplane for her husband. And they imported the airplane and they named it Friend of Iran. Oh, I'm sorry what I did. Here you see Mary Helen in front of this airplane, and they surveyed, they flew all over Iran, and they took pictures, hundreds and thousands of pictures, air views, magnificent air views of Iranian sites and ancient cities. You see a picture of Isfahan, the major Maidan in Isfahan, an air view of the site of Susa, air views from the landscapes in the whereabouts of Persepolis, this magnificent Sasanian fire temple at Taht Suleiman, and they published this book, Flights Over Ancient Cities of Iran. It's a magnificent publication, very rare and extremely expensive, and it was dedicated to the King of Iran, Reza Shah, at that time. Well, the second period of the US engagement with Iranian archaeology was after 1945, and especially during the Cold War. The research of the American archaeologists who went to Iran from this time on was mostly focused on problem-oriented studies, like the beginning of agriculture and food production and the use of domesticated plants and animals, etc. The primary goal of archaeologists in the second era was to establish a chronology for the prehistoric periods using typological studies of artifacts, especially pottery. And actually the first synthesis of Iranian prehistory was done by an American prehistorian who was first at Persepolis, Donald McCann, from the Oriental Institute of the University of Chicago, who divided prehistoric Iran into two ceramic zones, Redware and the Buffware. This typology was accepted until the 1950s, when its validity was questioned by a new group of scholars who questioned the validity of the existing interpretations and began to develop a new set of objectives for the investigation and study of existing data. Whereas a number of Neolithic sites of Iran had been explored in the period between the two wars, nothing was known about the earliest human occupation of the country.